Most people are one habit away from building serious wealth. Not one big move, not one lucky break. One tiny, almost invisible habit that compounds so quietly you don't even notice it working, until the day you look up and realize everyone around you is still in the same place, and you're not. Here's what's strange about that. The people who figured this out don't look different. They're not smarter. A lot of them aren't even earning more than you right now. But there's something they do, or more accurately, something they don't do, that separates their financial future from everyone else's. And by the time this is over, you'll know exactly what it is. I'll tell you the habit that actually started this whole thing for me. But first, let's talk about the one your parents almost certainly got wrong. You were probably taught to save money. Put some aside. Don't spend everything. It's solid advice, except saving money on its own is a slow bleed. Inflation eats roughly 3% a year. Your savings account pays you 0.5%. You're not saving, you're just watching the gap widen more slowly. The first tiny habit that changes everything isn't saving more. It's automating a decision you'll never make correctly on willpower alone. Here's what that looks like in practice. You set up an automatic transfer, and even $50, even 75, that moves the moment your paycheck lands, before you see it, before you feel it, before you decide you need it for something else. The financial research on this is unambiguous. People who automate savings save dramatically more than people with identical incomes and identical intentions who just try to remember. That's not a discipline problem. That's a psychology problem. And automation fixes it completely. One transfer, one setup, infinite recurrence. The second habit is about something most people dismiss as a personality trait: the ability to wait, not long, just a beat. Just enough space between impulse and action to ask one question: do I actually want this? Or do I just want to want it? Researchers at Stanford call it delay discounting, the way our brains systematically overvalue the present and undervalue the future. It's why you'll choose $50 today over $100 in 6 months, every single time, unless you build a pause into the system. A 48-hour rule on any non-essential purchase over, say, $100. That's it. No guilt, no spreadsheet, just 48 hours. Most of the time you won't buy it, and the money you didn't spend becomes the investment you forgot you made. The third habit is the one nobody talks about at dinner parties because it sounds almost embarrassingly simple. Track one number. Not every number. One. Your net worth. Once a month on the same date, you open a spreadsheet or an app and you write down what you own minus what you owe. That's it. You don't need to analyze it. You don't need to optimize it. You just need to see it. What tracking does, and this is the part that surprises people, is that it recruits your ego into the process. Once you start watching a number grow, some part of your brain starts rooting for it. You start making tiny, subconscious adjustments to protect it. You feel faintly proud when it goes up. You feel faintly bothered when it doesn't. And that feeling, that low-grade emotional investment, is worth more than any budgeting app you'll ever download. If you're building these habits alongside someone and you're finding this useful, drop a comment below. It helps more than you think, and I read them. Fourth habit. This one's about income, and it's going to sound counterintuitive. Stop trying to earn more money, at least for now. Start trying to earn differently. There's a category of income that doesn't require you to trade time for dollars, and the habit is simply learning what that category looks like in your specific life. Not some guru's life, yours. Maybe it's one piece of content a week. Maybe it's a skill you already have that you could teach. Maybe it's a rental, a dividend, a digital product. The specifics don't matter yet. The habit is this: spend 30 minutes a week reading or thinking or experimenting in that direction. Not acting, not executing a plan. Just deliberately wandering toward income that doesn't need you to be awake. Most people never do this because it feels too slow. That slowness is exactly why it works. Now, here's the part most financial advice skips entirely, and it's probably the most important thing I'll say. Your relationships are your largest financial asset or your largest financial liability. Pick almost anyone in your life. Your three closest friends, your partner, your coworkers you actually hang out with. And their financial habits are shaping yours in ways you cannot see. Not through peer pressure, not because they're influencing your choices directly, but because proximity shapes what feels normal. If everyone around you finances cars, financing a car feels normal. If everyone around you quietly invests, investing feels normal. The fifth habit is a quiet audit. Not to cut people off, but to notice whose habits you're absorbing, and to find at least one person, one, whose money story you'd want to live. Habit 6 is about attention, specifically about where your financial anxiety actually lives. Most people's financial stress isn't about the big picture. It's about the 3 or 4 recurring decisions that feel slightly out of control, subscriptions that crept up, a grocery bill that keeps growing, an insurance payment they haven't looked at in years. The habit is this: once a quarter, spend 1 hour on your recurring expenses. 1 hour. Not every expense, just the ones on autopilot. Cancel what you don't need. Renegotiate what you can. That 1 hour done 4 times a year is worth more per hour than almost anything else you'll do with your time. The seventh habit sounds philosophical, but it's brutally practical. Stop measuring your wealth against where other people are. Start measuring it against where you were. That's not a mindset speech. That's a strategy. When your reference point is your cousin's new house or someone's Instagram portfolio, you make decisions based on ego. And ego-driven financial decisions are almost always expensive. When your reference point is yourself 6 months ago, you make decisions based on momentum. And momentum is what actually builds wealth. Habit 8, learn one financial concept per month. 1. Not a crash course, not a certification. One concept: what an index fund actually is, how compound interest actually works, what a Roth conversion ladder actually means. Well enough to explain it to someone at a barbecue. That level of understanding. Because here's the thing about financial knowledge: it doesn't compound linearly, it compounds exponentially. The 10th concept you learn is worth 10 times more than the first, because suddenly things start connecting. And once you understand money at that level, the people selling you expensive products start looking different. Ninth habit: protect the downside. This sounds unsexy until the year you need it. An emergency fund. Not a savings fund, not a vacation fund. A boring, off-limits, do-not-touch fund with 3 to 6 months of your actual expenses. Because without it, every financial crisis becomes a debt spiral. A medical bill, a job loss, a car breakdown. Without that buffer, any of these things can erase years of progress in 60 days. Most wealth isn't built, it's preserved. And the fund is what lets you keep building without starting over. Subscribe if this is landing. There's more where this came from, and the next one goes even deeper. The 10th habit is the one I promised you at the start. The one that quietly changes everything. And it's this: decide on purpose what enough looks like for you. Not for your neighborhood, not for your income bracket, not for the version of success your parents imagined. For you. Because without that number, without some defined sense of what "I've made it" actually means, you'll keep upgrading your lifestyle with every raise, every win, every bonus. And you'll arrive at 55 with a high income, an expensive life, and almost nothing saved. There's even a term for it in behavioral economics: hedonic adaptation. The better your life gets, the faster the new normal arrives. The people who actually build wealth don't have more discipline. They have more clarity. They know what the finish line looks like, so they can stop running past it and start saving what they've earned. Most people are waiting for a salary that changes their life. The research, and honestly, just the evidence of people who've done it, suggests it almost never comes from salary alone. It comes from 10 tiny habits, stacked quietly, practiced consistently, until the day you look up and realize the math has been working without you. Start with 1.